All right, let's listen to this guy's great.
It's not time to
I
panic.
listen to him every once in a
Everything is
while.
still fine. At least that's what all the economists are trying to make you believe right now.
Yeah, you got a lot of videos of people walking around. It looks like a beautiful day, so why not? You know what I mean? Get the phone, get the little gimbal out there, and nail a video. You know what I mean? It looks great for a phone.
After we just got yet another horrible jobs report, which is kind of funny considering the person responsible for the last horrible jobs report was fired, and now we're still getting another horrible jobs report. So,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I heard that happened, and the previous person was fired because the jobs were. Look, the jobs report is not good. Okay, I don't even care what the data says. The jobs report is not good. Okay, now there's still a financial hierarchy, and what I mean by that is there's still levels of financial success that is keeping this intact. I think a lot of people are surviving on credit because the banks are still giving out loans and credit cards and stuff like that. So I think that a lot of people are paying their groceries with credit. They might even be paying their car note on credit. But there's something's going on that's not really right, and I think everyone can tell. And people just aren't admitting it because as far as the ego is concerned, you don't want to admit defeat or failure or anything like that. And I get it, but people are starting to just be like, what's going on here? Like, we're kind of getting bamboozled everywhere you turn, and as far as the car insurance goes up, the utilities go up again. Like, why are they going up again? The groceries, just every time you go into the grocery store, it still feels like just like a gut punch. It's like, man, I got like 10 items. Like, what's going on? And you see people explaining that on like YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely, and then you have to consider what the AI risks that companies are taking right now, because again, like, AI is being sold as this thing that can do, let's say, the job of, like, let's say 5 people. So they're going to try and reduce costs, but that doesn't mean that that's actually going to work. I mean, we're still kind of experimenting with how this is going to go. But when you're a company that has a lot of overhead and a lot of employees and stuff like that, like, certainly and especially if you're beholden to shareholders and stuff like that, you're willing to try. And I think a lot of people are getting laid off, and a lot of people are having difficulty getting another job. But and I'll discuss. There was one thing. There was something that was said about 3 years ago. I can't remember what his name was or is, but he was a CEO, and he was saying, look, the workforce has become very pretentious. It's become very conceited. It's become very what's the word? Entitled, and we're gonna reduce it, and we're gonna restrict all that stuff. And as soon as he said that 3 years ago, I was like, well, I feel like this is exactly what's going to happen, and it is. I mean, companies have really reduced that kind of entitlement that people were going through, where it's like, oh, if I can't if I don't get paid good here, I'm going to go elsewhere. And there seemed to be a lot of opportunity, let's say before 2020, where the workforce had a lot of confidence in what decisions they could make, and what companies they wanted to go through, what companies they wanted to work for. But that's been drastically restricted, and it was right after that guy said, I wish I knew his name, but it's like, yeah, this guy's just basically telling us what's going to happen. On top of the fact that we put a lot of money into the economy when during 2020, and obviously that was going to create a problem. But there does seem to be something else going on beyond that, for sure. And by the way, I'm not an economist in any way. Don't come to me for financial advice. That's for sure.
what's going on here? In August of 2025, employers only added 22,000 jobs, which was far fewer than expected, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And the unemployment rate also ticked up to 4.3%. And by the way, this is
He's gonna say,
before any of the revisions come in, right? We created 22,000 jobs before the revision comes, because whenever the revision comes, it's probably going to be negative, because that's what always happens. It always gets revised down. It hardly ever gets revised up, which I would be surprised
Yeah,
if it
yeah, yeah.
does. It does happen from time to time.
Well, see, that's kind of what I was just talking about too. Like companies, I think, are not in a. They're either experimenting with these new systems because, again, these tech leaders are kind of selling us the world here as far as what the capabilities of AI are. I have a feeling that that's not actually their capabilities, but they need, investors and stuff like that. And there is a chance that corporations are kind of going with maybe some new or experimenting with different systems to see if they can reduce cost. And that's the kind of time period that we're going through. And we'll see what happens with it, because these companies could realize that, the AI is not outside of, let's say, customer service, where, you can train an AI avatar to really communicate with the customer or something. I don't know if their experiment is necessarily going to work. So we'll see. We'll see.
But not very often. I mean, just look at this chart here, guys. The change in monthly non-farm payroll,
That's crazy,
going back to January of 2021 up until now.
This is what I mean.
It is almost
by
like
2020.
we have completely stopped creating jobs altogether. That's how.
That is, I mean, this stat is crazy. And I don't even see how that is, because I think that our economy right now is going towards, and everyone's kind of like pushing entrepreneurship and stuff like that. I think the economy is naturally going that way, where they're kind of forcing entrepreneurship, and they're forcing like content creation. So like, I think it's kind of like in vogue right now to be like, oh, the solopreneur or the entrepreneur or something like that. But it seems like the market is organically kind of going that way, where people are going to have to like think of something to survive, to exploit the market and try and survive.
How bad this is. This has now been 4 months in a row of significantly lower job growth, and all you kept hearing from the Fed is that, oh, the economy's great. The job market is still strong.
See, that's the thing with what's going on in just today's reality period. And look, it's been going on for a long time. You ever heard of Edward Bernays? During World War One, he was the one, actually, not even World War One, but like he was the one who had this whole campaign to get more women to smoke cigarettes. So they called them like freedom torches or something like that. And then he did run a public relations campaign for World War One and World War Two, and a lot of other conflicts, and to gain public support. And so my point being is that there's been a lot of gaslighting for a long time. But like these people are literally, and I feel like it's been going on. Actually, it's probably been going on for my lifetime. But like it's like they're trying to tell you that one reality exists, but it's very clear that the other reality exists. I mean, it's like, oh, gas prices are down, but then you go and you're like, I don't know about that, and it's like, oh, grocery prices have been reduced. And then you go and it's like, I don't see that. And then the utilities go up and stuff like that, just like I was talking about at the beginning of this video. So it's fascinating that you can just kind of come out and drive a message that's completely antithetical to what you're seeing. And I don't know what it's meant to be. I mean, is it like a psychological tension thing where it's just like, yeah, we know we're lying. We know that this creates a psychological tension within the individual and will frustrate them. And so we keep the population frustrated or something? I don't know.
That's all we keep hearing from economists and government officials. Everybody keeps repeating the same nonsense about how everything is fine, but it looks like we are far from fine. I mean, we're talking slowdowns in hiring and everything across the board, from manufacturing to construction to professional and business services, government jobs. Pretty much the only jobs that are being created are in healthcare and in hospitality still. That's about it. At this point, the job market is at a complete standstill and is showing no signs of improving anytime soon.
Yeah, so that's the thing, and I keep doing that. So I think people can really feel that when is this going to improve? You know, like I know people right now who are going through, I don't know, 5 interviews just for this one job. Like 5 interviews. They're like meeting everyone at the company for this, for what? And then you get there and it's just like, I'm sure it's like, you know, I don't want to say everyone's incompetent, but I'm sure it's nothing special once you get through these 5 interviews. You know what I mean? When did we start this, by the way? You know, so there, it's already this kind of like, again, it's just like this Hunger Game things to even get a job. You know, a lot of the incomes have been reduced in some fields. In other fields, I'm sure they're doing fine. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure if you're in, you know, the health tech industry or something like that, like everything's going well. But then you're also, by the way, let's just say this, or let's just talk about this, because there now is a conversation that's constantly being promoted that AI is going to take everybody's job, and I'll do a video on that subject from someone who was on a podcast or whatever, but saying like 90, ridiculous number, by like 2027 it's like, oh, 99%, that's 99% of jobs are gone. That's crazy. Like, no one should even be listening to that. That's nuts. You know what I mean? I think, again, I think we're overselling it, number one, but number two, what is the benefit of completely demoralizing a population? I don't understand that. You know what I mean? Unless you're going through a transition. You know what I mean? And I mean, certainly we are with this technology, but I don't know if it looks as drastically different as what a lot of people are anticipating.
And that's why the Trump administration has been screaming at Jerome Powell and the Fed to lower interest rates. But the funny thing is, even if they do that, even if it does create more jobs, which I'm kind of highly skeptical about, because also a lot of the jobs that we've been losing have been due to the rise of AI.
Well, this is
so
the thing.
Employers have no incentive to bring those jobs back, regardless of how low interest rates are. You could have interest rates at
That's
0,
exactly right.
and it's not going to bring back jobs that have been taken away by AI.
So I'll leave the link to his full video. It's almost 20 minutes, and you know, I just kind of wanted to really just talk about you know, the job market period, but then also the demoralization of the workforce. And then things like he just said, you know, artificial intelligence. Why would they be incentivized? See, this is the thing that always happens. It's like it even happened in the Hollywood, in Hollywood, where it's like, okay, they go through these strikes, but like they're not going. If you need this many people in the writers' room or something like that, they're just going to, you know, use AI and reduce, you know, the amount of people that they need around in a TV show. And this is how, like, it's just going to continue to go, because all these corporations, certainly they want to centralize the profits and stuff like that. But also, just like he said, I mean, if you get used to, and again, I don't know how efficient these systems really are. I think certainly they'll probably become very efficient, but you know, I'm not in one of these companies who's seeing you know, the basic infrastructure being run by artificial intelligence. I just, you know, I'm not in one of those companies to see it firsthand. I'm only hearing what, you know, people are saying secondhand. So, but he's absolutely right. Why would you get used to a system and then rehire a human being to, you know, and AI is already doing it or whatever. So, so we will see, you know, we will see where that is. But I just think that, you know, the real purpose of the video is just like, I think there's a lot of people struggling. And I'll tell you just one quick story. I traveled, I traveled the middle of the country and I traveled back the southern route in 2016. So it was during the Trump Hillary Clinton race. And certainly a lot of the cities look pretty good, you know what I mean? And a lot of the places where tourists would go, or, you know, where big industry is, like the tech industry or, you know, biochemistry or whatever you have. But there are a lot of pockets in the United States that just are not, that are in big time poverty. You know, I mean, that's what I saw going through Colorado, going through, parts of Kansas, going and then coming back through Louisiana and Mississippi. There's just a lot of places in the United States that are way off the beaten path that are not doing well. So what I'm saying is it's kind of like that gaslighting thing again, where it's, you're being told one thing and then, but when you really see what's going on, it's not that great. And it's kind of like, I mean, what is the plan for the people? You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is it has to be look, you can take, as an experiment, just think about somebody, just think through the lens of somebody who actually knows, who's at the tip of the spear of this stuff. So you're looking at population, you're looking at how to keep people busy, with AI coming through and automation coming through and stuff like that. You're looking at, giving people, having dignity and purpose for people, you know what I mean? Which, no matter how much people like hate their current job or whatever, it gives them a place to go and it gives them something to attach their identity to where they can say, what are you doing? And it's like, oh, I'm doing this. And at least they're doing something, you know what I mean? So what does that future really look like? And how do we preserve some type of like organization outside of just video games and addictions and prompting our own TV show that only we're gonna watch, you know what I mean? And then if we can share it, feel bad that it's not as good as so-and-so's, you know what I mean? So I can sense that a lot of people are worried about what's going on, and worried about the future. So, but we'll get there, big dog.